Sung getting furious and annihilating his enemies is cool, but have you ever seen him destroy and traumatize them just for fun? Well, on the Jeju Island arc, where we are introduced to the Japanese hunters, especially Goto Ryuji, a horrible lunatic who cared about nothing but his own goals. In his arrogance, he ended up challenging Sung and paid the price in the best way possible for us, as we got to watch them go head on. And today I'm going to tell you how Sung traumatized Goto by completely destroying him. This whole history begins with the Jeju Island. As we know, Jeju Island is where an S-rank gate opened a long time ago, but Korea failed to trade and closed it 3 times, leaving the island completely overrun by monsters. The problem is that the monsters started causing trouble again, even flying out of the island, reaching Japan and devastating a small countryside town. It took an A-rank hunter just to deal with a single ant, which shows how powerful they are individually. Because of this, a new raid was planned, and the president Go Gun-hee started looking for supporters or anyone who could help with. And the worst part of these ants is that they mutate. Since the first raid happened, they have mutated and evolved and become even stronger, and now the ability to fly poses a huge threat to humanity. And that's when we are introduced to the Japanese hunters. Another terrible alternative was that Hwang Dong-soo had also volunteered to help with the issue, but of course he was after Sung, so they blocked him from participating. And that left the second worst option, the Japanese. Japan's largest guild agreed to collaborate, and a hunter was sent for negotiation. That hunter was S-rank Goto Ryuji, and he went straight to meet Go Gun-hee upon arriving in Korea. He is said to be the only hunter in Asia who can stand on equal footing with the national rank hunter Liu Zigang. And that's a lie, of course. Liu Zigang would solo this guy faster than I can drink a glass of water. Better yet, Zigang would solo this guy faster than Sung soloed Hwang Dong-soo in the future. The difference between the two of them is huge, enormous. He don't stand a comparison. However, he's not ordinary. Even among S ranks, he is exceptionally powerful, and even Go Gun-hee acknowledged that in this meeting. But it's not just strength, Ryuji has power as well. There are 21 S ranks in Japan, and 11 of them belongs to Goto's guild. Unlike Korea, where we have the 5 great guilds competing, Japan has a single guild that holds nearly all the power of the country, and they are the second largest guild in Asia, second only to a Chinese guild, where Zigang comes from. Goto and the Japanese decided that Jeju Island could no longer be ignored after recent events, so they pledged their full support to the Korea for the raid. And Goto here got straight to the point about why he was there. He wanted to form a single squad of hunters, bringing together only the best hunters from each country. In other words, the top S ranks from Korea and the top S ranks from his guild. It would essentially be an alliance to attack the ants and their base. But even with an alliance, attacking the ants' main base would be difficult, but Goto had already a strategy in place. After all, they were dealing with an S-rank gate. They had gathered information about the ants, learning that each one rivaled an A-rank hunter, but they had a critical weakness. Ants have an extremely short lifespan. They only live for a maximum of 1 year, so if they killed the queen, all the ants on the Jeju Island will die within a year. They don't need to exterminate all the ants, just focus on the main target and let the nature take its course. Of course, it will be still incredibly difficult, since we have to get through thousands of ants to reach her, but Goto had a plan for that as well. They won't have to fight the ants if they can lure them out of their tunnels and away from their base, and this has already happened exactly 3 times in the past. When the Korean hunters arrived on the island coast for their search and destroy missions, the ants left their tunnels and headed to the battlefield, so now the plan is to draw them out of the tunnels and go straight for the prize. Goto states that 11 S-rank hunters from his guild will participate, and they will be in charge of distracting the ants and luring them out of their tunnels. Meanwhile, the Korean hunters who join the raid will be responsible for taking down the queen. And the reason why Goto is being so cooperative here isn't out of pity for the dead or because exterminating the ants is the right thing to do. No, he has his reasons. All national rank hunters have raided S-rank gates before, so considering his previous performances, if he successfully clears Jeju Island, he will be ranked high enough to deserve the title of national rank hunter, and that's his goal, to become a national rank hunter. He carefully planned this raid and minimized every possible risk, and now all that is left is to finalize negotiations and begin the preparation. And although Go Gun-hee had some doubts about this, this. In the end, he agreed to form this alliance, hoping that Sung would join the raid, since Sung had already proven his strength. And then, on another day, Go-Gun-Hee calls Sung to discuss the raid, after spending several days trying to reach him. And when Sung arrives at the association, Go-Gun-Hee explains all the situation with Jeju Islands for him, asking to Sung fight alongside them, but Sung seems a bit hesitant. Normally, he would jump at the opportunity to go somewhere filled with high-level beasts and grind experience. However, his mother had just woken up, and he didn't want to leave her side yet. But before he could refuse the offer, he suddenly sensed waves of mana, as if hunters were fighting nearby. The S-rank hunters participating in the raid were now warming up in the association's training gym, where the Japanese hunters were also present, and curious about it, Jin-Woo decided to head to the gym with Go-Gun-Hee to check it out. There, Baekhyun-woo was fighting against Coach Ma, another Korean S-hunk. Although Baek was normally stronger, when it came to martial arts, he was no match for Ma Dong-wook. Ma was the leader of the Fame Guild, one of the 5 great guilds, and on the other side of the room were the Japanese hunters, but honestly I'm not even going to bother introducing them one by one, because it's completely irrelevant here. They'll show up for like 10 chapters and then bye bye random, and not to mention pretty much all of them die anyway. And Sung's arrival immediately caught the attention of Japanese hunters, with Goto even thinking that he was an exceptional assassin type hunter, only to later find out that Sung was actually a mage type hunter. On the other hand, Goto and the Japanese hunters viewed the Korea hunters as mediocre, wondering if these were really their strongest hunters. The problem for them, however, was that the leader of Knight's Guild understood Japanese and overheard their conversation, and obviously being the delinquent that he was, there was no way that he was going to let that comment slide, even though he was just a mere A rank. So after debating with the Japanese translator, they stepped into the ring, and the rules were simple: whoever grabbed their opponent's wrists first would win, and he didn't even bother preparing. He stayed as relaxed as possible, as if this was the easiest thing in the world. Then, as the Japanese hunter charged at him, not only did he dodge her completely, but he even played around a little before finishing the match, showing that he was far stronger than her. And seeing this display, Goto became interested in doing the same, but with the S ranks. He suggested a series of sparring matches to help everyone get to know each other better. The Koreans sent out Hae-In, Baekhyun-woo, Ma Dong-woo, and that guy from the Viper Guild, whose name I still don't know even after reading it like 6 times. I'm sorry, guy from Viper Guild. And on the Japanese side, some interesting opponents stepped as well, but I don't recall their name and even don't want to bother about it. Here, after a little from the match begins, the Koreans were at a disadvantage, with 2 of them losing, until Hae-In turned the tables to hell back, but when she took down one of the Japanese hunters, the guy completely lost it and went into a psychotic rage. Then, as he was about to attack Hae-In with a strike that could seriously injure her, Sung instantly stepped in and stopped the match, and when the Japanese hunter tried to attack Sung instead, Jin-Woo effortlessly subdued him as if he was nothing, and this immediately caught Goto's attention. After all, those weren't the movements of a mage. Soon, Goto approached Jin-Woo and challenged him to a one-on-one match, and just by looking at him, Sung immediately understood. Goto wanted to fight and see just how strong our protagonist really was, and Sung smiled at this, which caught Goto off guard. After all, he was one of the most powerful hunters in Asia. No one smiled before fighting him, and Sung accepted the fight, but on one condition: Goto had to agree to use his full strength during the match, and this left Goto both surprised and serious, and he decided to accept. After all, there was a healer nearby in case things got out of hand. And of course, it wasn't just Goto who was excited for this. Every Korean hunter present was eager to see just how powerful Sung really was in combat, and Goto made the first move while Sung wasn't even paying attention, trying to end things right away, but Sung effortlessly dodged, making Goto certain that he wasn't a mage. From Sung's presence and movements alone, Goto knew he might be able to fool others, but not him. Right here and now, Goto wanted to expose Sung for who he really was, and strip away that mage facade. And as Goto launched attack after attack, Sung simply dodged with ease, smiling the whole whole time. And seeing that Sang was dodging everything, Goto decided to get truly serious, going for the kill. And at that moment, Sang received a system message warning him that Goto had murderous intent towards him. So before the system could force him to kill the Japanese hunter, he decided to end things up himself. With ease, he blocked Goto's attack, grabbing his hand, shocking him with his sheer strength. But the worst part, Sang had grabbed Goto's hand, not his wrist, which meant he had done it on purpose. And realizing this, Goto became even more serious. And so the two of them prepare for another exchange, but this time they weren't holding back. The sheer power they're about to unleash forced the other hunters to step in and stop them by force. And Beck and Shaheen reminded that Goto was the leader of the upcoming raid. They couldn't afford to let him get injured and be taken out of the mission. Beck even asked Sang if he had gone too far away by stopping him like that, but Sang remained completely calm and unfazed. On the other hand, Goto was now drenched in cold sweat, his face filled with pure dread, because in that last exchange, just before they were stopped, he had seen death in Sang. He knew that if that final blow had landed, he would have been finished by the Korean hunter. The thought alone was enough to make him tremble. With just a brief moment of seriousness, Sang had completely broken the second strong hunter in Asia, shattering his arrogance along with him. And that's how Sang completely destroyed Goto Ryuji, having him traumatized, trembled just for thinking about this. Now let me know in the comments what you thought about this moment, because for me this is one of my absolutely favorite scenes of the entire series. Sure, it's always fun to watch Sang fight monsters and take them down, but this scene, watching him humiliating Goto, was satisfying on another level. And well, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and drop a like to help the video. That's it for today, I'm out.